Well, sorry for the information overload. I'm going to bombard you with a lot of information again. No, but information is important. As a Christian doing mission, you have to be informed. But from that, you decipher it and become. Information is different from knowledge, and knowledge is different from wisdom. But you have to start from information, or else. Okay, turn it on. Yeah. So I will be bombarding you, and I tell you why. I was one of the initiators of having this action research and model development. Because we don't care too much about research. We do a lot of things, but we don't really seriously measure what we are doing. We just claim it by numbers. Very difficult. And also our model development is a very complicated process. It's not just copying what's on the market. You have to think through it. And also I share with you why we picked these 7 issues. It's not random. It's not random. We pick it with the site, disciple making and mission and glory of God. In the 21st century. In the 21st century. If Martin Luther is alive today, he will call for a reformation. Right?
Amen.
Right? Do we need to be reformed?
Of course.
Right? We cannot stay in the past. With all respect to his theology. Even Karl Barth, when he comes alive, he will rewrite his dogmatics. It's contextual. And this is very important. Context, you cannot use the Bible to study context, right? You have to rely on a lot of scholarly works and different people and bank on their wisdom. So we selected this after a lot of soul searching, after a lot of study. And I tell you why. Okay. Selecting the themes, responding to challenges in the 21st century. The whole world is coming apart. Cold War, East and West, Samuel Huntington, the clash of 9 civilizations. But now it's not just that. The whole world is totally divided. Even Britain is divided. Europe is divided. United States totally divided. China is divided. They don't want to see, they don't want me to say, but it is. But then the reason why? Why? Now I'm referring to a very important book, Charles Murray. Now Jonathan, where are you? Where's, oh, Chinese side. Is he doing this? Sociology. One of the most renowned sociologists in the world. And this has been reprinted, translated in almost every language. He's scanned United States of America past 50 years with data and asked the question, why is America so divided, United States? And of course on the surface you say it's about racial problem, about political problem, ethnic problem, it's about true. But deep down he discovered something. He said, in any person, there are 4 domains, 4 dimensions, 4 domains of life satisfaction. Without satisfaction, there's consequence, 4 consequences. Number 1, family divided. United States, totally divided. Right? They can't even define what is marriage. Don't talk about divorce. They're talk. So, family. And not just United States, he compared the statistics with Europe. Europe totally divided. Totally divided, fragmented. Now they aim at one big European community. And now you see how divided. So they did the comparison. Very interesting book. Fascinating book. Facts. Now so one day, family and mission. If we want to do mission, we want to rebuild. Not the most important thing, most important word in the Bible is one. Right? One against diversity. 3 God, only one God. One God. And our mission is Ephesians 1:10. At the appointed time, all creations will become one in Jesus Christ. So it's about mending this division. And we cannot ignore the division within the family. So I have respect for those who are trying to address this issue. Couples are divided. So, Dr. Chiu, families divided. So when we address mission, we cannot take this very lightly. So we selected this. Number 2, community. Community, we used to love one another, right? Love one another. And now everyone doors shut in United States. How do I know that? Next door is not a terrorist. How do I know he didn't come from ISIS? No trust anymore. The same in Hong Kong. I used to go to my wife's village, Seong Sui. The whole village, same last name. I walk into everyone. They're all my relatives. I have to bring a lot of lychee. Wow. And my children like it. They get a lot of lychee. See, one community. No more. People move. No longer. What do we mean by community? Community is one. Irrespective of whether you're different ethnic background, how poor you are, we are one. The church presence in a certain community, are we supposed to be a witness to pull them together as one? Right? So community service is about being one. But you start from serving them. You don't just go there and evangelize them. Right? So community service and mission. And then the third problem is vocation. He said, America has lost the sense of vocation. It's just a job. It's a matter of earning money. 100%. Vocation is meaning. Vocation is when your gift and your passion meets the needs of the world. It's not self-centered. Terrible. When you lost the sense of vocation, the society breaks down. You see? Even the politicians, it's not vocation. It's for power or for money. Then when you look at that, the next generation and even Christians, you have to be a sense of vocation, right? If you're a medical doctor, you're for mission of God because you're called to serve those who have disease. We have to reclaim this sense of vocation. Not just pastors and missionaries have vocation, right? Everyone is called. So we study marketplace and mission. 21st century, mission will happen in the marketplace because in the creative access nations, you cannot go in as pastors. If you're a pastor on your passport, out. You cannot go in as missionaries. You go into the marketplace, and not just to convert people, right? You help to build the nations, right? You help to bless them, right? You don't go in and convert Muslims, right? You love them. They are divided too. So we talk about marketplace ministry and mission. Faith, totally divided. United States, in God we trust. No offense. Are you serious? Even your public school cannot read the Bible. You cannot pray. One high school principal prayed 22 words in Time magazine. One parent complained, fire. Fire. Right. He said, you abuse my religious freedom. I look at that 22 words, not evasive, very humble. Faith. Church-based discipleship making and cross-cultural mission, very important. We have to rebuild our faith. And faith, how do we disciple our people? And give them a sense of vocation, a sense, not So church is still very central. But if church still live in the 19th century, we lost this generation. We're still living in the past century. So we praise this. Okay, next one. Education and Mission. Globally, they are reading this book, Excellence Without a Soul by Harry Lewis. You read it. Harvard, 32 years, professor, dean of Harvard College. He came to Hong Kong. I was given this book. Excellence Without Soul. You're talking about excellence, being lawyers, etc., etc. 208, financial tsunami. Harvard graduate create fraud, cheating. It's an American game. Now, no offense. I know a lot of you are American. You see? So what do you mean by so, Harry Lewis? Become human with meaning, integrity, compassion. Very basic thing. Lost. And so education as mission. In the 21st century, the battlefield is education. Because you go in there, all the developed countries, they want education. They want solid and first-class education. You see, those Christian universities in America, all secularized. Total secular. Harvard, Stanford. I don't mind to name names, as long as it's not in China, then that's okay. Right? Because I can say anything about against America, right? As long as it's not against China, right? I'm very smart. So the education, they're dying for good education, starting from kindergarten all the way up. Can we go into this country and provide solid Christian-based excellence with soul? And one of the leading thinkers is Parker Palmer. Every 4 years he publishes a book. One of the leading thinker and practitioner in tertiary education. To know as we are known. Beautiful. What is education? To teach is to create space in which obedience to truth is practiced. So theological. He won the heart of all the tertiary educators in the United States. And poke down the deep. What is education? Theology of education. How do you, what is space? What is obedience? What is practice? You see, we need to reclaim. This is very important. Every kid, they go through at least 20 years of education, right? And we abandoned this very important field. And we left it. Then we complain, how come our students go to the university and they lost their faith? We should review it, right? So education is mission. Okay, Christian counterculture, culture and media. Another, we were discussing it. Culture shapes the people's worldview, their lifestyle, their time they spend, their leisure. You see, everything is on the iPhone. Everything. You see, Apple. Great respect, Steve Jobs. You see, there's nothing evil in it per se. But you have to study what it is, the impact of culture. Of course, John Stott, counterculture, Niebuhr, Christ and culture, Andy Crouch, Charles Kraft. You have to study the theology of culture, right? And then you understand. And then we have abandoned this whole battle of cultural mandate, right? From Genesis 1. We are supposed to govern this earth, right? To rule this earth. Rule this earth. It's about culture, right? The way you live, the way you... And then we have abandoned it. Abandoned it. So culture and media as mission. Okay. One more. Youth and mission. Of course, I spent 43 years as a youth worker. I was originally trained as a medical doctor. And then the Lord called me down a different path. And working with young people keep you young. Yeah, I'm forever young. Because you have to study every day. They change so often. See, this generation, they call it, John Shaw, fatherless generation. They have no model at home. Father, a symbol of model. Family becomes so functional. So most people are fatherless. Either they don't know who their father is, and even their father is absent. Absent. Now, so it's about the generation in trouble. Howard Gardner, one of the leading champions in education reform, multiple intelligence, 9 multiple intelligence. He repented. In his 2 new books, he studied. It's not just about excellence. Where is truth? What is beauty? What is goodness? He's not coming from a Christian background. For this coming generation, they are so skilled in technology and different professional skills, but these basic things are lost. And are these Christian values? You take a professor in Harvard to identify these 3 areas that are lost. What about Christians? Are we concerned about youth and truth, youth and beauty, youth and how do we define beauty? Huh? How do we define? And then Howard Gardner is very old. Together with a new IT specialist in university, a professor, he came up with this book, The App Generation. It's a different world. Grown-up digital. Don Topscott. Now you have to study them instead of just condemn them. I am still studying Pokemon. Yeah. A global phenomena. Something could happen. All the hidden youths in Hong Kong, they are on the streets. Everybody doing exercise. I asked them to come out and do exercise, they never did. And now they are all, so I celebrate. Thank you, Pokemon. You solved my problem. I visited a hidden youth. 3 months he was just in his room, playing his war games. Didn't even come out. Wow, it took me 3 months to seduce him to the sitting room. And then another 3 months to get back to our community. Another 6 months to get back to school. And Pokemon do it in 1 second. Thank you, Pokemon. I wish I knew you earlier. So youth and mission. Youth is living in another satellite. You have to study. You have to learn. You have to study their culture. You have to study what influenced them. And you have to tackle it. And so radical discipleship, the cause of discipleship, mission of God. In all these people, one thing, John's thought is incarnational. He studied the contemporary world. And of course, I like Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Have you read the book, Bonhoeffer? Pastor, prophet, martyr, spy. Eric Metaxas. Beautiful book. He's right into the midst of things. He's incarnational. Best theology are not produced in the library. It's produced in the real world. One of the greatest theologians of all time is Paul. How did he do his theology? In the prison, but also live among people. So we have to rethink youth and mission. It's a total new challenge, and we have to relearn it. Okay, the framework. Now I wish we learn from this 20 papers. I studied them very carefully. I have to thank them. They put in work, and also everyone is assisted by researchers. We need researchers. You see, theological college do not train us to do this kind of sociological, political, social research. And we need that. To study the context, you need multiple disciplines. You cannot have single discipline and win the world. You see, Paul is multiple discipline, right? Multiple. Moses, look at these people. Daniel, the important figures in Bible. Now, so model development, you need a clear mission statement, good conceptual framework, strong biblical foundation, and you have to be specific target group. I just pick one example. Actually, I want to comment on those 20. I don't have time. I don't have time. I just pick one. Now, this is Dr. Peter Chu. Very clear mission statement. Intentional discipleship-driven marriage ministry. Very good conceptual framework. Now, he's trained the trainers, disciples, all lay people. But he trained them for years. And then he spent years to develop this marriage enrichment camp. What are the key elements in marital intimacy? Why are they separate? And it's not talking, it's experiential. I have been to his marriage enrichment camp. Wow, very powerful. And the biblical foundation, theology of marriage and mission of God. You need to study the theology of family. Go back to the Bible. Then you are not just doing something very pragmatically. So I forgot who said it. The temptation of pragmatism. And so the target group is very clear. So for model development, you have to rethink a clear mission statement, have a good conceptual framework, biblical foundation, and target group. You cannot start from nothing or copy another, because every context is different. You have to study. Now, next. Action research. With a conceptual framework, you have to test that framework very vibrantly and vigorously re-examine yourself. Now, say for example, now I have this model called CAT Solo. Components, A for activities, target, outcome, solo is short-term outcome and long-term outcome. Okay, I use the example of the International School of Quality Music. Excellent. I visited that. He spent years studying Hong Kong education system, and he found the loopholes. But he wanted to go in and start a secondary school. So he has to play the game. But he discovered the holes in the game. So as Christian, he think through this theology of education. And so the components, education, music, and general education. You know, his graduates, excellent in Hong Kong exam. But they entered the best music schools around the world. Excellent. Excellent. For us to do anything, it has to be excellent. You cannot do a lousy job and claim it. And I have deep respect. Within short 15 years, he became one of the best known secondary schools and then the primary school. But at the same time, it's a specialized education because he screened the young people with musical talents. You see, 9 intelligence, those with musical intelligence and proven, because he wanted to create a new band of Christian musicians. Were you touched by the pianist who plays Sandra? I almost wept. You see, he played and captured the soul of that very simple piece, Fantasia. Let more Christians go in there and play it with a soul. Play it with a soul, and that's what he wants. And he's creating a lot of top-notch Christian musicians. And of course, spiritual formation, discipleship, missional trips. And very clear short-term outcome. Excellence with soul. No compromise. God requires of us in whatever you do, excellence by his glory. And of course, long-term missional disciples and renewal of culture through music. There are many ways to contribute to arts, music, but for us Christians, those are not important. God forgive us. God forgive us. And so, I think I'm in good time. So actually, I want you to go back and look at this frame and re-examine whatever you do with this kind of frame, theological, etc., etc., and then measure it. You see, we don't measure what we do. We don't measure what we do. Short term, long term, and all the research research part is weak. You see, you have to do qualitative, quantitative, with someone very objective, with someone who really understand what research is, and not just wishful. Okay, finally, gather equipped. Now to follow up what we are doing in this conference, next year, in our consultation, thank you, many people came to the consultation this noon. Wow, packed the room. I don't know how many there are. Global Young Missional Disciples Training Conference. And the training is intergenerational. We need train the trainers people to train the mentor who mentor the disciples. But the key are these young Christians who aspire to become missional disciples. They need equipping. We cannot just send them out because they have the passion. A lot of casualty. I served in the board of a mission. We sent out young people, all on fire, and came out as casualty. God forgive us. 90% of them fail. And with all respect to short-term missions, sometimes we're very wishy-washy. So, number 2, retreat. You see, I like Dr. Emin Chen. He said, into the sanctuary. Right? How? Where is the sanctuary? Here. Sanctuary is not out there. Right? Jesus Christ, He's the temple. And now we are the temple of God. Evangelical have a lot of things here. But from here to here, totally foreign. Because we are overwhelmed by activities. We do not know how to be silent, how to form a spiritual life. God forgive us. And then, of course, missional trips into the creative assassination. The best way of discipling people is not in the classroom, not in the church. To bring them where the action is and mentor them and walk with them. The way Jesus did it, of course, He gave the Sermon on the Mount. But most of the time He spent with people in the real world, meeting people who are demonized, leprosy, poor, different cultures. Okay, so we are going there. And followed by that, we'll continue regional training conference. This is a devotional conference. This is an inspirational conference. This is an information overload conference. But God forgive us. But we need solid training based on research. Research of the world. We have to know the world, discern the world. And we have to know the truth. And the truth has to be in flesh. So we propose this action research and model development, not just for entertainment, for us to take home and ponder about it and rethink what we are doing. Review every program you're running. Some of the programs are not worth doing anymore. It just keep a lot of your staff busy. Drop them, right? Drop them after serious evaluation. And when you develop a new program, go through this process, right? And then you don't start from scratch. You learn from other models, right? Sam said this, right? Universally, we are teaching by case studies. Harvard Business School is all about case study. You don't start from scratch. There are a lot of people doing similar things. Why don't we learn from them? God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you.